Hey everyone, this is Elliot or Bonzi, and I just kind of wanted to share a video of our latest update. Our latest update has been pushed out for Android. You can update it now. The game now includes not only multiplayer but a single player function as well with 4 difficulties. We also did a bunch of balance changes, changed up a lot of the cards. Right now, NFTs are integrated for Stargaze, and it is very easy, and we're planning on doing something with probably Territory, Omniflix, Huahua, and then I know I'm missing one, but one other Cosmos chain, just to kind of like show, hey, like the game is multi-chain and works on all of them. So we're looking to do that, and the cards that we put out on those chains will probably do a cheaper power level. Reason for that being is that way we can say, hey, we want the focus to be on Stargaze. We don't necessarily want that on other ones, but this way it's like, now it's multi-chain, now other people can check out the collections on other chains. And with the other chains, the kind of idea is like the stats might not be as high, but the special abilities, like there's a lot of power in those, so you can still find like special abilities that work in the game. So right now, I'm just gonna quickly go through and make a deck. Let's do the C group. So C, and I'm just looking at the little letters down here, is Cult of Destiny. Anytime you play one of these cards, it has a 20% chance to discard a card from your opponent's hand. So those were NFTs that are already in the game, and now, or not NFTs, but Reapers just hard-coded in the game. These are Reapers that are actually like in my wallet, that got loaded in. So NFTs go here, and then cosmetics. These are all NFTs as well. If you own any of our cosmetics, they show up here. You can include it in the game. So now we have the Reapers on our deck and the cosmetic support card. You can have up to 8 of them, I believe. And I know the text is small, but if you double click, you can actually see what the cards do themselves. So with this one, I'm just kind of looking through and seeing what should I actually put into my deck. Get that one. Get 5 support. And let's do that. So then each one of these is like a different card type, and it has its own kind of special abilities, like what they do. The power level of them is kind of based on, are they on the board and can they block health, or if they're not on the board, then they generally tend to have a stronger effect. So omens tend to have a much stronger effect. So let's do this one, that one, and that one. And then when you look down here, we have certain amounts that you can put in for each card type. Like you can't have a deck of 25 omens. We haven't figured out the best way to display this on the UI yet, but right now it shows up green if they're good, and then if you try to choose more than you're allowed to, the game will give you an error and it'll let you know that. Let's do Then here you get your boss. The bosses themselves, there are little infographics that show their abilities. We updated these, so the next patch that we put through, we're going to have to update the boss card infographic. We buffed basically all of the bosses, so they were more impactful and kind of did what they needed to do, and just had like a bigger impact on gameplay. Because before it was a stalling mechanism, and that's not really what we wanted it to do. So I just made my deck, and the deck that I made is trying to basically discard cards from the opponent. So now create a single player game, and let's do hard and see if I can win at my own game. So as we're playing through, every turn you get to play 2 cards. There's a support that makes it so you can only play 1 card, but in general you get to play 2 cards per turn out of your hand. These tombstones in the middle, this is a balance mechanic so that fighting and hitting the enemy tombstone health doesn't happen too quickly. And these start to clear off the board pretty quick. Yeah, so this one, I'm only going to allow him to play 1 card per turn. And if it wasn't clear, this is single player mode. So we had an AI developed. There's a single AI that plays cards, but then how we made the difficulties is that depending on what level AI you're playing, they get boosted stats that make it harder for them to kill. So while the game plays out, and I'll just try to pick up some meaningful things. When your turn starts, the enemy, if they played a Veiled Omen, that activates an effect before you're allowed to play cards. So let's do this one just so I can show it. Go. And then I play 2 cards, it'll put the other one back to the deck. Battle stage starts, and he was exiling cards because of my support. After the battle stage resolves, then it goes to the support phase. Every support phase, basically, a support can have an always active ability or an ability that is activates during the support phase, and then all supports lose 1 health at the end of the support phase. And this happens just to help keep the board clear and keeps the game flowing. Do this. And we use kind of like a 2-stage battle-like setup, right? So Reapers themselves block damage from the tombstone, and they take full damage depending on which cards are played. But then Reapers can also attack supports, which can block damage to your tombstone. So when a Reaper attacks a support, it always only does 1 damage regardless of their attack. So that's kind of like one of the like unique aspects that like we tried to do to make it a little bit different than other card games, to give it kind of this like multi-layer, multi-layer battlefield. Then, so here's a boss. To play a boss, you need to draw it 3 times before you're allowed to play it. So kind of like one of the strategies you can do is like a cycle deck, just to like get the boss out quicker. We recently buffed their abilities, so they're stronger. And let's see, what else should I mention? It's like kind of a lot to take in, of course, like normally, like if you're playing it, and I've been playing it forever. But after the battle phase, after the support phase, you have a thing called a relic, and this is a comeback mechanic where if your opponent has 2 or more on their side of the board than you do, then the relic's ability activates at the end of your turn. This is to help passively balance the game, and it also adds quite a bit more customization in how you play your decks and like help support different archetypes. So right now anyway, it's looking like I'm probably going to lose this game, which I mean makes sense. It's against the hard AI. Novice, basically the AI has no benefits at all. Easy, I think the supports have double health. Then hard, the supports have double health, and I think there's 1 or 2 other things I have. And then impossible is like pretty insane. And I mentioned I was playing Exile, so C, when you play when you play a C on the field, whenever I play one, there's a 20% chance that I discard a card from his hand. So you saw I landed there twice. And when you kind of like discard all these cards from hand, once you go through your deck and you have 20 or more cards in exile, I think it's 21 or more cards in exile, then you reshuffle your exile deck back into your normal one, and when that happens, now every card you play costs 1 life. So it's kind of the way that we can passively balance the game. So like this one, what I'm going to do is kill this Reaper and then exile 3 cards from his deck. I think. Unless that one... oh wait, maybe it has to be this one. Exile bottom 3 cards of deck. Does it need to be this one? Okay. So this one I'm going to have to like ask on. There's definitely like a bug with it, which is fairly expected. Like every time we put through a lot of changes, and oh, okay, it wants an enemy Reaper. I was trying to do it on one of my Reapers, but it should be hitting an enemy Reaper. Since there weren't any enemy Reapers, you couldn't play the card. Small things like that is going to be something that, like, over time, like, we improve and make more clear. Animations in particular, they can be spendy, so we are going, like, fairly light on the animations to start, but long term, like, we plan on, like, trying to make it where there's, like, highlighting and stuff like that. But just, like, for right now, the easiest way to make the game work is like prioritize like what we can and then function around that. Okay. And as the game goes on, you see now it looks like I will probably win, and I think it was like 8 health to 15 or so. But like, we kind of wanted this to be able to happen. There's, like, a lot of swing cards in the game that make it pretty, like, doable to, like, change things around. Like, you're not going to end up getting trapped into a spot where, like, where you won't be able to come back as long as you draw the right card. So this time I actually will beat him, which is cool, but I don't know if I'll be able to show off Exile just because, yeah, right here. So right there, like, you win. Tombstone is at 0, mine's at 5. You know, like, we have multiplayer too. We really need iOS for that one to, like, come alive. Your star's address is down here. And then we have these like little general infographs. Like general info is basically how the game is played and how like the Reaper cards function and the text on them. We have abilities and factions. Reapers that have an ability, these effects activate on death, so it's basically a reference card. And then we have factions, which is the letter on the Reaper card. Of when you play these together, they get like a stronger and stronger effect, and they buff each other up. And then lastly, we have the boss cards. Because animations are expensive, so when you play a boss, what ends up happening is he kind of acts as like a shield to your health pool, and then you sacrifice cards in your deck to him to activate one of their 3 abilities. So this is just an overview of like what their abilities do for what type of card you sacrifice to them, and then basically like if you're in game, you can reference this to know like what their abilities are, because there aren't animations for their abilities at this time. So, you know, that's like a little bit about that. And, you know, it's like we're really waiting for iOS, and we're going. Basically, what happened with iOS is that you cannot allow access to NFTs in your app unless they can also be purchased with real dollars, so Apple can take their cut. So right now what we're doing is we're setting up just a simple Stars wallet that holds a lot of NFTs in it from our collections that work in game, and then we're setting up an API that's going to allow you to be able to buy NFTs directly with fiat, with, you know, money. So that, like, we didn't originally plan for that, but we required that in order to comply with the App Store. So we are working on that right now. I'm not sure of the ETA. I would guess under a month. I don't think this is that complicated. I think the only thing that could take time is implementing like the payment system into the app itself, but I don't think that's like terribly complicated either. So once we get that aspect done, now you can either mint the NFTs on Stargaze directly, or you can effectively mint them with real dollars too. So if there's a new user who comes on and downloads the game that isn't into NFTs, now they can also be able to mint NFTs without even knowing it, because it's going to come from, they're going to pay with like Apple Pay or credit card, debit card. So just like another way to like passively onboard users. All right, that was like a fairly long video, but thanks guys for listening, and we'll have more to share soon.